I'm Brittany Arnold. I'm 23 years old, and I had osteosarcoma. Katya Mayukuj. I am 19 years old, and I had a medulloblastoma.
I'm Jeremy Smino. I'm 21, and I had Hodgkin's lymphoma.
My name is Caitlin Iverson. I am 17 years old, and I had AML leukemia. Kayla Dean. I'm 18 years old, and I had Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Zach Lucken. I'm 19 years old, and I had Ewing's sarcoma.
Anna Stern. I'm currently 20 years old, and I had ovarian cancer.
My name is Victor Piacentini. I'm 20 years old, and I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia May of 2011.
The effects of cancer persist long after the end of treatment. The current resources that teen patients have are inadequate. What little the hospital is able to provide ends when teens are discharged. This is a flawed system. It doesn't account for the trials of survivorship. Medically, these survivors are monitored for the rest of their lives. Emotionally, they're expected to return to life as if nothing ever happened, to pick up where they left off. But curing the disease cannot cure the trauma that these kids go through. Years of illness take their toll. How do you get back into sports if you've been bedridden for months? How do you get your honor student status back if you have to repeat a grade that you missed? How do you recover old friendships when cancer has forced you to mature faster than your friends? These questions go unanswered for so many survivors. Patients are thrown back into the real world just as they were dragged into the world of cancer, with no period of adjustment and no clear path to follow. There's a loss of identity after beating cancer. Survivors get their lives back, but it's not the life they remember. Things can't ever go back to normal. Instead, they have to make a new normal. This alone is a challenge, but there are still other obstacles. Late effects of treatment can cause learning disabilities, stunted growth, infertility, etc. Survivors can face relapse at any point in the first few years after treatment, or develop a second cancer much later in life. These are fears that hang over the head of every cancer survivor. These are threats that never go away. Being cured is different than being recovered. I'm here with Lauren Spiker, the founder of the organization Melissa's Living Legacy, and Leah Shearer, who is the programs coordinator of Teens Living with Cancer program. My first question is, what is TLC?
TLC stands for Teens Living with Cancer, and it's the peer support program of Melissa's Living Legacy. Teens Living with Cancer is really about bringing together teenagers who are diagnosed with cancer and having them have a place and opportunities that reflect their experience with cancer and also help empower them through that time in all stages of the journey, from the time they're diagnosed to well beyond. And it's an amazing place because there aren't opportunities for teenagers with cancer to meet each other. In fact, most teens who are going through their experience, unless they connect with a group like TLC, they're thought to be alone in their experience, in that no one else their age is going through that. And a lot of that has to do with some of the things that have to be adhered to in the hospital, like privacy. So we're a community-based program where we allow interaction and connection with teens, and we do awesome programs throughout the year, not just in a particular season. We're there through the entire spectrum of a teen's journey with cancer.
And Lauren, you can tell us a bit more about Melissa's Living Legacy on a whole. Why did you found it?
Like Leah just said, our TLC program is just one of the things that we do at Melissa's Living Legacy to support adolescents with cancer. And I started the organization, Melissa's Living Legacy Teen Cancer Foundation, after my daughter Melissa died when she was 19. And I saw up front and personal just how tough it was to be a teenager going through cancer. because at the time Melissa was diagnosed, there were no resources that in any way mirrored her needs as a teenager. So the organization was founded after Melissa's death as a way to keep a promise that I made to her before she died. And we now provide resources to teenagers across the globe in a variety of ways, and most specifically through our Teens Living with Cancer program, which is our peer support program, as Leah just said, that gives teens with cancer a way to not only find themselves and understand themselves, but to do that with others who understand.
Just as TLC began back in 2000, some new data emerged from the National Cancer Institute that sparked a new interest in supporting the adolescent and young adult cancer community. The age group covering patients from ages 15 to 39 had shown the least improvement in survival rates between 1975 and 1997. Almost all other age groups showed an increase of at least 1 percentage point annually, but this group saw hardly any change. While treatment therapies are rapidly improving, adolescents and young adults are not the ones reaping the benefits. This was the study that led to the official adolescents and young adult grouping of cancer patients in the eyes of the medical community, and subsequently, it led to increased focus on supporting these young people. However, support systems for teen patients and survivors often lack a crucial part of recovery: face-to-face relationships with others going through the same challenges. Cancer is an isolating experience on its own. For teenagers, who are already pressured to define themselves socially, cancer can completely take over their image. Who they are, who their friends are, and how they want to present themselves all takes a back seat to survival. Society is put on hold. One of the greatest roadblocks to supporting adolescent patients is a lack of understanding by outsiders. Cancer is treated like a death sentence. Many people don't know how to respond when someone they know is diagnosed. Some support the patient as best they can, at least trying to understand, and some disappear altogether. For teens, this trend is even more extreme. When treatment forces teens to take an extended leave from school, anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, the distance can be overwhelming. They are separated from every normal aspect of life. They are alone. Were you able to keep in contact with the friends you had before diagnosis?
I understand that for a lot of my friends it was, as scary for them as it was for me, not sure of what exactly would happen. Actually, my best friend, I actually lost touch with for about the first 6 months, which wasn't very good. I didn't like that. But alternatively, a friend that I hadn't been really close with became really close with me and spent, days in the hospital with me, and just came when I was home and spent almost every day with me while I was home, just hanging out, which is definitely a great help.
Say like, oh, well, they don't really understand the situation, they don't really know what's going on. In that case, it's true, but they also just wanted someone there, and for that reason I got really angry at them just because, I wanted their support and they weren't there, so that was really difficult for me.
I always had someone with me, aside from the nursing staff and doctors. But once I left the hospital, I noticed how, I don't want to say how little people valued my friendship, our friendships, but it's just how caught up in life, in their own lives they got, and how rarely I saw them or heard from them.
TLC has been around for 13 years now, but how has the function changed since the center opened, as opposed to back when it was just a website?
Back when I first established the organization, the internet was pretty new and was really the primary way that kids could connect with others who lived some distance or with whom they had some remote connection. So the website way back when, the teenslivingwithcancer.org website, was our first way to help teens connect with other kids going through the same experience. But once we had a physical location, starting first here in Rochester, New York, and most recently in Buffalo, New York, we were able to build a very cool center where our kids could come and meet, like Leah said, on a weekly basis, not only to have fun, but most importantly to make other connections and make really deep, lifelong friendships. So once we had a physical bricks and mortar location, we were able to take all of the positive aspects of the website and bring it face to face. So instead of just telling each other how much we cared about them, we can now give each other a hug in person, and as most of our members will tell you, there's nothing like a TLC hug.
What role do hospitals play in the psychological, social aspect of recovery?
Hospitals' main function is to cure our teens' cancers, and hospitals are working hard every single day to do that. Medical researchers are working tirelessly to find a cure for cancer, and that's what hospitals do best. From a psychological, emotional, and social standpoint, that is not usually the primary focus within a medical institution. While there are always social workers on hand that help families navigate through all the things that need to be worked out when you have cancer, the job is too big for any one person in the hospital. So we see our role as complementing what hospitals do. Hospitals provide really good medicine and good science, and we take care of the other side of things. We help our kids feel good about themselves, learn how to cope with their cancer, and provide support to the full circle of friends and families that our teens need to rely on to get through this experience. So we can all do more, hospitals can do more, but primarily we want hospitals to find a cure, and we're going to take care of the rest for our teens.
Did the hospital distinguish you from adult and child patients? Did it meet your needs as a teen?
Probably not. I would say no. They were sending clowns in and just definitely more younger based activities for me in the hospital.
I was put in the pediatric section, and I feel like a lot of the side actions that they took as far as like accommodating needs and making me feel welcome were a bit childish because I was 18 and stuck in a pediatric session.
So they did their best they could for what they know to do. But I definitely was not met with the needs that I needed. I was like treated as a very childish. They had like the Easter bunny come into my room like dressed up. I was like, I appreciate it, but
Cancer patients can remain alone throughout treatment without the right support. There is only so much the hospital can do for the psychological portion of recovery. Social workers and other therapists can be effective, but peer outreach is critical to make a cancer patient feel normal again. No one understands a teenager with cancer better than a teenager with cancer. That's why an organization like TLC is instrumental to recovery. Kids gather in a safe space where they can talk about the struggles they all share and, more importantly, all understand. Everyone at TLC has cancer as a common ground, and that's the beauty of it. Cancer is the commonality that allows other connections to be made, not just based on diagnosis, but on similar interests. It's not just about cancer. Cancer is what they share, but it is in no way who they are. TLC allows cancer patients to have friends that don't shy away from the unknown territory of disease. In a gathering, you'll hear medical vocabulary fly back and forth as easily as small talk. You'll hear two patients comparing scars one minute, and the next they're discussing a band they both like. To TLC, cancer is just another part of the culture, a part that doesn't create an awkward distance between members, like it does between members and outsiders. It gives teens a chance to be themselves again, to achieve a new normal with friends, organized activities, and a sense of belonging?
I guess I would say that a lot of people think that it is this, they often think it's terminal or they think it's this huge life-changing thing. And I know for some people it is. For me it wasn't. I had one of the more aggressive and rare types of cancer, but at least I didn't let it affect me like a lot of people let it affect them. So I don't know as though I can really say that my situation was different or better or worse, but I guess a lot of people they pity cancer patients, which is certainly not something, that's probably what I least liked, was people saying they felt bad for me, or saying that, that my situation was so awful or anything, and it really, to me, it wasn't, and I just wanted everyone to think I was just a normal person.
I think a lot of people push us back in our years when we get sick just because we are young still. And so a lot of people feel the need to take care of us, kind of have like a mindset of a limitation that we have, and we really don't have any limitation. We're exactly like normal teenagers. We're just have one little flaw. It's almost like exactly how a cancer cell is. All the cells are normal, and then there's one that messes up. And that one little flaw, it's kind of like the same with us. We're still teenagers. We just had one little flaw in us.
I also don't think that people really understand how hard it is for teens to get cancer compared to like older adults or kids, because teens have a lot more to deal with school and like formals and dances and prom and things like that. In college, all you put on
This awkward gap of being a teenager and going through high school and going through, just developing as a person, and it's just a very weird time, I think, to have cancer, and I think it's really hard for people to fully understand that.
I mean, I think there's misconceptions that all teens that have cancer are not happy. They don't still get to do what they really want to do, and they're all miserable and unhappy. But really, the ones that come to TLC, I mean, I'm sure they look exhausted and very like they've been, hit by a truck, but they still enjoy, I think coming to TLC makes them feel so much better.
Biggest misconception that even if you survive, you're just going to live under a rock for the rest of your life. I can't tell you how many times, friends of mine and, soccer teammates of mine have been like, wow, you're a cancer survivor? I never would have guessed. You're so active. And it's like, well, thank you, I think. I don't know how to respond to that. Because, it's like, yes, I did play 4 years of varsity soccer and end up playing for my college also. And so, I definitely think the biggest misconception in, society about, teen and pediatric cancer survivors is that we're just going to, sit around for the rest of our lives after.
That you can't really tell if someone has cancer or had cancer unless they look sickly, or very thin and frail, or pale and weak. That they have lots of needs. They assume that they're feeling the worst, that they might be depressed. Just as if they're always going through a horrible time, and if they don't look like they are, then they aren't.
If you could change one thing about the recovery process for teen cancer patients, what would it be?
Of course, if there was any one thing I could change, it would be that no teenager ever was diagnosed with cancer. But in terms of a teen's recovery, if we as a community were able to recognize that being a teen with cancer is unlike any other stage of a cancer experience, we would readily see that there are many, many more resources that need to be directed to teens with cancer. So if I could change one thing about a teen's recovery, it would be that from the point of diagnosis, our communities at large rallied and helped support organizations like ours that recognize the very unique challenges of teens and helped bridge a still very pervasive gap in resources for this very vulnerable population.
It hasn't really changed me like a lot of people say that it has. I'd never thought of it as a second chance because I never thought I needed a chance. I just thought it was something I was going to do and get over with. The only time I really talk about it was when people ask about my scars, and a shark attack is not usually a believable excuse, but I do use it occasionally just for giggles. But usually when it comes up, it's just talking about the year I missed from school and why I'm, 20 and everyone else is 18. But other than that,
And it's boosted my self-confidence. And I just realized that I can't keep chickening out of things because I don't want to do them, because there might come a day I can't do them anymore.
If it wasn't for TLC, I probably wouldn't talk about it as much, and I don't think that that's necessarily a good thing, because I think it's important to talk about it, as much as you feel comfortable, because it's such a big part of all of our lives that it's never going to go away, and once it's over, it's never really fully over. So I think TLC is a good way to, get everything off your chest and keep in touch with patients or other TLC members and, always be there for one another.
I don't know if I expected to, keep in close contact with my experience, but it kind of ended up being that way with my involvement with camp and, friendships from that. So it definitely has stayed in the forefront of my life, but I didn't really see it coming at first. I didn't know it would stick around this long with me.
I wouldn't say that my cancer was a great experience, but the things that I did and the experiences I had during that time were definitely good ones. I spent a lot of time with people that I didn't before, and the time I spent by myself allowed me to do a lot of thinking and things that I wouldn't have done otherwise.
It did have such an impact on my life. Like, I matured so much as a person, and just became, I feel like that's, through that experience, I found who I really was. And I mean, anything that does that for you, I feel like you're always going to want to be prominent and, like, part of your life. I don't try and remember all the bad parts, but definitely it's given me a lot of good, and I want to put it in a good light for that situation, and that it provided me with a lot of good.
And it's boosted my self-confidence. And I just realized that I can't keep chickening out of things because I don't want to do them, because there might come a day I can't do them anymore. I think it was going to have such an impact on my life. I was so young. But now I think, cancer has had a very positive impact on my life.
I didn't really know any other patients until after I joined TLC. And once I started going to more meetings and doing more things and events with TLC, it made me be more proud than of what I had been through and of what I was going through, and now what I've defeated, and it makes me want to talk about it, tell people more about it, especially other patients. I mean, not at this moment, but for this small period of time, but just to eventually go and tell other people that who are going through tough times, whether it be cancer or some other heavy illness or affliction, that it can get better. It's not the end of the world.
Leah, your role is very closely tied with working with the hospital. I know that you're always up visiting kids inpatient and trying to convince them to come check out our programs. So what is it that draws kids in, and what do you think keeps them away?
When I approach a teenager in the hospital for the first time, I always am very careful to not just think every teen has the same story or every teen has the same interests. And I try to approach each teen to say, who are you? Because often, when they're first diagnosed and they're going through the course of their treatment, it's this feeling like everyone looks at me from the aspect of I have cancer. Well, I try to ask more about who are you? What do you like to do? What are your interests? I want to know about the teen, and that usually can lead me in the direction of what to kind of tell them about the TLC program, because odds are there's something in our myriad of activities that will appeal to them, and knowing a little bit about that teen and who they are and what their social life is like helps me to pitch, so to speak, our program, because that's what I do to help them realize there's a resource out there. But as far as what turns a teen away, I think it's often the fear that they will meet other teens who look in their head like what they're afraid of. And I think it's especially when you're new to cancer, some of those things are very intimidating, and people picture a place where they are not only encouraged to talk about their cancer, but made to talk about their cancer. And what they don't realize is that our programs are designed to be not, cancer isn't necessarily the focal point, but through the work and the exercises and activities that we do, it inevitably comes out, and kids do want to talk about it. But reframing that experience for them is how, we hope to make them realize that it's not just about talking about their cancer, but they do want to talk about their cancer. So it's kind of an interesting little dichotomy. It's the realm of understanding that I don't want to be made to do this, but allow that teen the opportunity to see there are others who are going through the same thing, and then that sharing will begin.
What did you expect coming into TLC?
I honestly expected sort of like a depressing AA meeting sort of atmosphere. I thought we were just going to sit around and talk about our cancer, have it be really depressing and super awkward and uncomfortable, and just not something I really wanted to jump headfirst into.
Going into TLC, I thought it would be like just a place where you would go and talk about how cancer is affecting your life and how it makes you feel, sort of like an AA meeting where you're sitting in a circle and tell us about yourself, something like that. But when I joined, my expectations were completely shattered. So.
Expected a white room with folding chairs, and I felt talking about our feelings to the therapist.
I was frankly scared because I thought there was going to be a lot of talking and stuff like that, and I
was afraid to be like the younger one there and be kind of not fit into the group. And I ended up fitting in very well.
At first was because I felt I didn't need any help, and I thought that everyone there would be kind of sad and depressed, and it'd be like a support group where everyone's going there because they feel so down that they need other people in the same situation to help them understand that they're not the only one there and to help bring them up, feel better. And then I decided that I'd just go for it and would go to TLC. And that's not what it was like. Everyone there, granted I was one of the older ones, but no one seemed depressed or sad. Everyone seemed like they were generally in a good mood and not even remotely depressed. And it felt nice to be around them.
Now, Leah, you're the programs coordinator. What can you tell us about the programs that TLC runs, and how do you choose which ones will benefit the teens most?
There are a variety of programs at TLC. We have everything from our weekly activities, which are kind of like you might imagine in a clubhouse sort of thing. We have everything from movie nights, game nights. We invite teenagers to bring a friend because we know that that's often a way that a teen might feel more comfortable first walking in the door, because it is sometimes occasionally a little difficult to be the new person in a group, especially a group that has to do with cancer. So we try to meet all different needs of teens, especially new kids who and we do programs like our leadership retreat, which tries to, the goal is to infuse some of the things that are lost during a time where a teenager is sick and away from school. So some of those principles that you learn in school, you don't necessarily get replaced by home tutoring. So we try to incorporate those aspects into our program. And we have done field trips to New York. We've done, just last summer, we took a really amazing trip to the Adirondacks where we did team building and really showed each one of our participants that it's possible to have a goal and set out about doing something that you thought impossible, like climbing a mountain. And that was really a truly life-altering experience for a number of those participants, those teen participants. We also do a mind-body wellness retreat that centers on things that could be used to help alleviate stress and to help each teen get in touch with who they are and their spirit. Things like meditation, yoga. We did work with clay. We did a drum circle one year. So it was all about invigorating that creative spirit and also tying that to sharing the experience and also coping mechanisms and kind of adding to a toolbox. In a lot of the programs we do put those values in there and focus on how do I live my best life now? How do I, even though I'm feeling sick, how do I make myself feel good about where I am right now? And that's a little, tiny little nutshell of what the programs do at TLC.
So we're going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the funding of a program like this. Teens Living with Cancer is a non-for-profit. So where does the funding mainly come from, and where does it go?
Well, the first thing I always say about funding is there is never enough. So we can always use as much help as possible because we are funded primarily through three different streams of revenue. One are the special events that we hold. So every year we do a couple large special events that involves the community and not only helps the community understand a little bit about the challenges of teen cancer, but provides very necessary funds for us to keep doing our programs. We also get funds from private grants that we are always applying for. We are not funded in any way through state or federal money, so we are reliant on private foundation grants to a large extent. And then the third way we fund our programs is through just free will contributions from people who have learned about our program and want to help. Every dollar that we raise goes directly into the operation and the implementation of our programs. Unlike some much larger nonprofits, fully 94 cents of every dollar that we bring in goes directly to our programs and services for kids. So we use every dollar that we raise as judiciously and as wisely as we can to help bring the best programming and services to our teens with cancer.
The adolescent young adult grouping mentioned earlier plays a part in TLC's everyday struggle for funds. The problem is that, while more funds have been allocated towards adolescents and young adults in the past decade, the funds have gone primarily towards the older age groups. This is due to a greater incidence of cancer in the older young adults patients than in the teenager patients. So, while society attempts to improve the situation of the adolescent young adult population, the adolescents are fading from the public's view. TLC tries to bridge the gap of resources, but the goal is different than many other adolescent young adult cancer organizations. It is about healing the patients who need healing today.
Our mission is not to fund research. Our energies and effort do not go towards research opportunities, not because research is unimportant. It is vitally important. But when a teen is diagnosed with cancer, they can't wait 25 years for cutting-edge therapies or new preventive strategies to hit the marketplace. They need to know right now, how am I supposed to go back to school without my hair, as an example. So our mission is simply to provide resources and support that will enhance the quality of life with teenagers so that every single day they have the opportunity to have life-affirming experiences to help them feel like this is their very, very best lives. And that's what we set out to do every single day.
Is there a way to measure the success of a group like TLC? And do you think that this affects people's understanding of the group and the support you're able to get from the community?
Funders are always looking for evidence of a program's success. And my answer to that always is just come to one of our TLC sessions and you will see living proof of the value and merit of what we do. We measure our success in a couple ways. One and foremost is when a teenager and his or her parents come through our door, do they return? Do they keep coming back? And we have seen over the years that once a family gets involved in TLC, they become part of the TLC family for life. And that to me is the best indicator of our success. We also, when possible, try to build in evaluation tools that will assess participant satisfaction. We are also looking at things like quality of life indicators that give us a sense that what we are doing help our teenagers not only in the short run but in the long run. So yes, it's important to our funders, and again, the best testimony of our success is in the words of the teens and their parents who participate.
What does TLC mean to you? What makes you keep coming back?
was honestly just the warmth I felt right away when I joined. Everyone comes right up to you, and it's honestly like they're your friends the second you start talking to them, just because you really don't have to say it. You all know you have this kind of like connection that most people with their friends don't have, a deeper connection where we did all go through something life-changing, and it's just amazing. And it's like my second family now. I know I can go for anything. It's an extremely great support for something that we all really didn't know how to handle, and in some cases still don't really understand. And as soon as I got there, I felt like a weight lift off my shoulders, completely relieved. It was so much better. And I think even if you know, for those first couple of weeks, you really are just in shock. You don't really know what to do. And I think those weeks are good to kind of have to yourself, just to kind of look inward. But I think you, as soon as you can, as soon as you feel comfortable, I would definitely have joined much earlier, just because it is the support, but it's also kind of takes your brain away. It brings you to a place where you can have fun and not have to really focus on your disease.
I don't even have to say anything. I could just make a noise and, or a sound in response to hearing something about something that people take for granted, like puking or feeling sick. And those people will know exactly what I'm thinking.
TLC is just basically a second family of just everyone who fully understands exactly what you're going through, and just everybody supports each other, and just not only through their cancer experience, but just through life, everybody just wishes everybody, nothing but good things, and I think it's just a really nice community to be a part of.
Everyone is so welcoming and so nice and friendly and accepting.
Now TLC to me is a family. Somebody like everybody in the group understands each other, and they understand each other. They understand me better than some of my close friends that I've known for years, because they've been through similar things that I've been through. Everyone thinks it would be just something where you sit in a circle and talk about your feelings or something like that. But it's totally not that. It's a bunch of friends getting together and have it. It's more of a friendship than it is a support group. It's really nice.
I think Chelsea gives teens the courage to keep going and see that, they see kids that have, or teens that have gone through with it, and they see how they can do it, so they tell themselves, you know what, I can do it too.
I think just overall, just a sense of security, and you just feel so safe being around everybody and comfortable with everyone, and it's good to catch up with everyone and see everyone's smiling faces, and I think it's definitely a group that I'll be a part of for the rest of my life.
I'd like to close by asking you, Lauren, a little bit more about the promise you made Melissa.
Melissa's story is a long one, but the essence of it is this. When Melissa was diagnosed, there were no resources for teens, and throughout 2 years of sadly unsuccessful treatment, we saw up front and personal just how hard it is to be a teenager trying to straddle the two existing healthcare systems in our country. That would be pediatric medicine and adult medicine. And teenagers fall right in the middle of each of those domains, and teenagers don't have a home in either healthcare systems. So we watched throughout 2 years of Melissa's treatment how she somehow managed to navigate 2 years of treatment without resources available, but in a way that she found meaningful, that gave purpose and direction to her life. So somehow Melissa just had this incredible life. Way too short for my liking, but every day was filled with purpose and direction and focus. So before Melissa died, we had the really wonderful experience to be able to share with Melissa what those last few months were like. We had the unusual luxury of some time before Melissa died to learn about what it was like to know that you were going to die soon. We were able to make plans together about what she wanted us to do before and after she died. And it was just 3 nights before Melissa died that I was talking with her late one night, and I thanked her for everything that I had learned from her through this experience. And I told her how proud I was of the life that she had led. And though she was weary, again, it was just 3 nights before she died, she still had her usual keen sense of people. And she said to me, a lot of people say those kinds of things to me. And in fact, a lot of people did, because she was a cool girl. She said, a lot of people say those kinds of things to me, but, she continued, I'm not sure that everyone will do anything differently because of it. Promise me, she said, that if you've learned anything from me through all of this, that you'll do something with it. Something to make a difference, to make things better, were her exact words. And in that quiet, dark night, I had no idea what it was I could do to do as she asked, but I promised I would do something. And in the days and months after Melissa died, it became clear to me that what I had most learned from her was the power of the human spirit, that we all had the capacity, regardless of circumstance, to live our very best lives. So, that's how Melissa's Living Legacy Teen Cancer Foundation was born, with the very clear mission then, as it is today, to give other teens like my daughter the opportunity to live their very best lives, and to know that their lives mattered, and that whether they lived or died, their lives would be filled with purpose. And that's why we're here.
Teens Living with Cancer is a model of what these young people want, need, and deserve. Groups like this could play a pivotal role in closing the gap between adult and child support. These organizations need support of their own and attention in order to make a difference. Currently, TLC is expanding out of Rochester to other regions of New York State. With more donations and media coverage, it has the potential to go national, or even international. Above all, teen cancer patients need someone who will listen to them. Our society has overlooked this group for too long. It's time to change that.